The Unicorn SFP indicator is available on various platforms on the Tradingfinder website. From this section, you can download the indicator file on the MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5 platforms and run it on the core chart. Traders can also read this page to understand how the indicator works and operates. From the Navigator section, we select the indicator file and run it by dragging the file onto the chart. Just make sure to enable the Allow DLL Imports option in the settings and then click the OK button. We select the indicator file from the Navigator section and execute the indicator by dragging the file onto the chart. Just make sure to activate the skin and ticker from the command section and then click the confirmation option. Once the indicator is on the chart, start drawing and plotting the Unicorn limits on the wireframe price chart. The Unicorn SFP indicator is a practical and suitable tool for ICT-style traders, allowing them to easily identify unicorn boundaries, FVG boundaries, breaker blocks, along with SFP or swing filler patterns. In the settings section, options are available. Change Navigator settings and the indicator's custom template, which has 3 modes: dark, light, and auto. Selecting dark applies a dark template to the chart, while light applies a light template. The template changes candle colors. With auto, bullish candles turn bright green and bearish turn bright red. In the next section, select indicator settings. Choose the number of candles to calculate and display unicorn boundaries, FVG, breaker blocks, and swing filler patterns set to default on. Template changes candle colors: bullish green, bearish red. Set indicator, choose candle count for unicorn boundaries, FVG, breaker blocks, swing filler patterns. Adjust breaker block. Enable disable display, default off. Enable. Select display mode. Choose settings. First, select candle count for unicorn boundaries, FVG, breaker blocks, and swing filler patterns, defaulting to 1000. Adjust to enable or disable boundaries, disabled by default. I will enable it. Then, choose display mode with 5 modes. Settings allow enabling or disabling breaker block boundaries, disabled by default. I will enable it. Choose from 5 modes for displaying breaker block boundaries. I will select the second mode. Choose to display all or just the last breaker block. Select number of last breaker blocks. If enabled, choose how many boundaries to see. I will disable the unicorn. Choose from 5 modes. I will select the second mode. In the next section, you can choose whether to display the last breaker block, which can show you all breaker blocks, or just the last one. You can also select the number of last breaker blocks to display. If you enable this option, you can choose how many breaker block boundaries you want to see in this section. Here, I will disable the unicorn. As you can see here, the breaker block boundaries are displayed for you. You can also choose different modes for displaying the boundaries. As shown here, the limits of the block breaker are displayed for you. Display boundary boxes in styles. Enable FVG, set active, click OK. Shows 2 bearish, 2 bullish FVG boxes, others dot. The boundaries are displayed as inactive. I will disable the breaker block. In the next section, you can enable or disable the display of FVG boundaries, and I will enable the FVG boundaries here. In this section, I select the FVG boundaries as the last option and set this section to active, and then I click OK. As you can see here, it shows 2 bearish FVG boundaries and 2 bullish FVG boundaries shown as boxes or dotted lines. Activated last, FVGs showing 2 bearish and 2 bullish. Enable, disable unicorn boundaries showing 3. Enable, disable swing filler patterns. In this section, I have activated the last FVG or fair value gaps, and I selected only 2 bearish FVGs and 2 bullish FVGs to be displayed. I will disable this section Now, in the last part, you can enable or disable the unicorn boundaries, and here it shows me 3 unicorn boundaries. In the next section, you can enable or disable the display of swing filler patterns. You can choose the mode for swing filler patterns. If the range is broken and then returns, a signal is issued. If it breaks upwards or downwards, check different ranges for pattern formation. Here, a pattern forms with upward movement, range break with shadow, then return. Next candle covers previous and breaks downwards. After closing, the signal is issued. Let's check in different ranges to see if a swing filler pattern has formed or not. So here, a swing filler pattern has formed for us, as indicated in this section, with a movement upwards and a break of this range with a shadow, followed by a return downwards. After that, the next candle covers the previous one and breaks downwards. After the closing of this candle, the swing filler pattern signal has been issued for us. If we set it to body mode like a swing filler pattern has not formed for us. And finally, I select the dark template and then click OK. So here, the dark template has been applied to my chart and the unicorn boundaries are displayed for me. Well, friends, we've reached the end of this indicator tutorial. We would be happy if you share your comments and suggestions with us in the comments section.